Saturday morning, it's time for the Experts program. That means our tech expert, Luis Alvarez, is on the line with us. Luis, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Mark. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. It's going to be a very hot Labor Day weekend, and folks are going to be trying to figure out ways to cool off, but we're going to talk a little technology here. And Salinas made the national headlines this week, you say, and in not a very good way. And this concerns the report of those two young girls sitting outside of a Taco Bell so they could borrow the Wi-Fi Taco Bell offers in order to do their school homework.
It was a really sad scene, and it made pretty much every national and international news outlet to just kind of highlight this digital divide that exists in not just Salinas, but across the country in rural areas where some communities don't have ready access to the internet. And it's been now where you have kids across the country that have been trying to go to school from home because of the pandemic. It's really reared its ugly head. And Salinas is no different. And they say about 40% of the Hispanic population students don't have internet access at home. And so these two little girls were just trying to do their schoolwork. And you got to give them credit for being innovative and finding where they can park themselves to at least get their schoolwork done, their desire to actually accomplish the work that they've been asked to do. But it breaks your heart to see that that's still happening in the 21st century in a community that's less than 75 miles from Silicon Valley. It's mind-boggling, especially for people outside of the area. But I also want to highlight that this is not a new thing. This has been happening for several years, but most notably since March, when kids were all of a sudden sent home because schools had to shut down due to COVID. And a lot of our community members locally have stepped up to do things to try to help the situation. I know one of our clients is Chispa, the housing developer, and they're a great partner. They do so much good for the community. They build these low-income housing units or refurbish old units and make them livable again for elderly folks and low-income people. And one of the elements that they always make available to all of the residents is public Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. We work with them to try to equip all of common areas with public Wi-Fi specifically for this kind of thing. And they've gone out of their way to add even more capacity. We've been working with them to try to increase the available Wi-Fi. And then you have the city of Gonzales that we worked with to provide hotspots for free hotspots for those community members that don't already have internet access, so they can at least get some internet in a partnership with T-Mobile. So there are a lot of good things that are happening. School districts that are stepping up. I know the Salinas City Elementary School District has stepped up to buy hotspots for their students, as has the Monterey County Office of Education. You can Lowe's Fishes and Computers over there in Salinas and South Salinas provides refurbished low-cost Chromebooks for families that don't have computers. So I'm heartened by the efforts of our community to try to kind of bridge the digital divide. The work is not done, but I think together we can get a lot farther along.
I saw an article in the Monterey County Weekly that was addressing this issue and the fact that there was a woman in San Jose that read about this, and so she started a GoFundMe campaign, and she's raised something like $300,000. And the question arises, accountability. Is the money really going to go to help this effort? Who's going to get the money? How's it going to be spent? And it got me to thinking that if people are really motivated to help in that way and they want to give money, look for an organization that's already doing this. Watch out for the GoFundMe campaigns. Now, I'm not saying that this woman isn't legit, that her effort isn't on the level, but I don't know anything about her level of accomplishment. And, what's it going to cost her out of that $300,000 that she's raised? How much of it is she going to have to spend in figuring out how to properly distribute that money? Whereas you could donate money to the United Way, which has education campaigns, which works with the school districts on programs. They already have an infrastructure set up to reach out to the school districts and help with this kind of a thing. Instead of just like, well, look, it's GoFundMe, it's the internet, it's new, it's hip, it's sexy, let's give money here, when you really don't know if it's going to go to the intended purpose. Why not just pick up the phone or go online and find your local United Way and make a donation that way?
I agree with you completely, because in this particular case, there are already some people that are suspicious about the motivations of this woman in San Jose. But that aside, I think there's so many organizations already existing that can make those funds available to the parties in a very trusting way. The Community Foundation has a number of funds that you can contribute to that help at-risk communities. Like you said, the United Way, the school districts themselves. I mean, be cognizant that when you give money to a GoFundMe account or to some of these online things. It might feel good at first, but you never know who set up that account and if that money is going to be used for the purposes that you donated. Fortunately, though, I mean, GoFundMe and a lot of these fundraising platforms have been doing a much better job of ensuring that the funds go to the cause that they're supposed to be going to. There was a recent case where a guy raised a bunch of money and basically under false pretenses, and GoFundMe returned all the money to all the donors because they discovered that the guy wasn't going to be using the money for what he said. So they do a good job of that, or they're doing a better job. But yeah, if you want to give money, and I encourage everyone to try to help, do it with a reputable organization in mind.
Good idea. All right. Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, has been our guest this weekend. Online, it's alvareztg.com, at AlvarezTG. That's the Twitter handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.